gotcha! You know, if we win, you get to write a song about this one. And I'll get sick of that one too.
I will make sure it is the most sickening one you ever hear.
Good, good.
Waka waka!
And that was Karna's story.
Well,
Tales Unraveled time?
I start to feel a bit worse now.
You should. Well, I mean, it's not necessarily your fault. Your dad was an asshole, dude.
Welcome to Tales Unraveled.
Yeah!
Where we talk about the shit that we did.
Karna, episode 0. Happy fun times.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Karna's story, which is the session 0 for Nick's character that we did before we started playing the campaign proper. It was even longer when it was a full session.
Yeah, that was your first time DMing, like,
Period,
yeah.
I like, in like 2013, I had done like some games with some friends, but never D&D, and it had been a while.
Right. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff cut there in terms of like just kind of figuring out the language, figuring out the flow. And yeah, just essentially building up Karna's backstory. I made a very long-lived character that matures relatively early in life, so it was going to be a longer story.
Mm-hmm. But afterwards, you're like, maybe that was a bit much.
No, I think that's about right.
Similar to it, at least on the day. I think you were just feeling bad about other people.
Oh yeah,
I
okay.
I had enough time to go get lunch, eat lunch, take a nap, and then finally he walked out.
Yeah, because we recorded all of the session 0s on one day. And I was first, being the oldest character, and then mine took the longest, because not only were you getting used to kind of like the flow of everything, we were figuring out the flow of it, I was figuring out the character, but I also had a very long story to tell.
You had very specific plot beats you wanted to get to,
yes.
Unlike the other two, who just kind of had a general story.
The major plot beats that I gave you that we like came across is like, you know, we were trying to give my character some motivation. It's like, okay, what about like, you know, the shattered blade of like a companion, a lost love or something like that? Because that would give me something to, you know, oh, look, a piece of that. Yeah. Huh, I wonder if I can find more, you know, just something to keep him on a journey. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, came up with the idea of like, okay, meet Delamere, that's her sword. The lucky break thing, completely unplanned.
Yeah, no, I had made up the lucky break already for the campaign proper,
and you just found
you rolled really well in the moment that Delamere was supposed to come save you. So that turned into a whole extended different bit.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
it's like another people try to rob you.
No, yeah,
okay.
That's what he asked for.
It's like, yeah, no, she saved, like, I'm a pacifist. She probably saved me from somebody.
And I was like, okay, who do these guys maybe work for? Jacobase. Okay, I'll seed in Jacobases early, and it doesn't hurt to have characters.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really cool as we were playing the campaign, and it's like, oh,
you seem generally pretty excited when you're like, yeah, Jacobases.
I know this guy. I actually know him. I met him canonically.
I'm about to say continuity.
I mean, it's continuity.
Yeah. Continuity.
Which I just think is like so fun looking at this and then looking back at everything, you know, that transpired in the the first part of the campaign proper.
Yeah, I think you guys clearly have picked up on it. I don't know if the audience I really like to tie as many things together. To me, that's what makes the story feel.
And that was
really
and that was really organic too, because it just came from a roll, and then I just happened to meet the guy.
Yeah, and that's where I think we've talked about before, but like just the ability to improv is very important for this. So which is why like a lot of my outlines have become extremely vague. Mm-hmm. Like just, okay, if this specific thing happens that needs a little more planning, I'll do a bit of planning for that, and then everything else is just, you know, whatever's on the table.
Yeah, and I decided that I wanted my actual bardic power to manifest in a moment of stress, which Karna doesn't deal with. He's never had to deal with stress. He's lived a very carefree life. So military attack, I guess, was the answer to that one.
Yeah. And yeah, I figured that's a great time to like establish the pontificate, who they are, because like that you know, and spoilers that ties into Quinn's character.
Yeah,
and like you know, in what will be a running through line. So,
and I think that worked really well because. Damn, the connection between Karna's backstory and Alexander's backstory is like
Again, I was very
didn't see,
excited when I
didn't see it coming. Absolutely loved it, and I know that came from like you just kind of like thinking, sitting alone at night, kind of moment.
It's one of those things where like when we end up, the way like filming ends up with these is like I end up having a lot of time to think about what we're going to do, and then they come with a bunch of ways to like tie a bunch of stuff together. So like the extra time means that these things will come out, you know, pretty spaced out here and there, but it does mean that it'll be a lot more connected than it might have been otherwise.
Yeah, part 2 is in the works though.
Yes, we're just filming it today, and we're going to film it also tomorrow and the next day.
And tomorrow, and then can't anymore. But still,
Yeah.
but yeah,
How did you two feel like?
that's right. This is your
getting
first
that
time
for the
seeing
first
it.
time?
Yeah, no, I liked it. It's like there's so much I want to say, but I can't say because it ties in later because this is all interconnected. But I
can
like
say
this.
everything that happens in
Especially,
season one.
yeah, especially in reflection to what we've been doing in the latest sessions.
It's interesting to have the perspective not only on Karna's background, just being Karna traveling around the archipelago, but also seeing how Fani in general are raised.
Like how alien their culture
Yeah.
is to everybody else's.
And then having that sort of, not necessarily a time skip, but you have kind of the montage of,
I go on adventures.
yeah, no, but then you realize every person you're meeting is, for the most part, dying way before you. So every time you come back to a place, like in session 1, it's
like
been
a new,
whole
it's
generation.
like almost a new town.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's part of what ends up making Delamere a little more special is that she sticks around until she doesn't.
And it's something that I didn't really reflect on in the session 0 itself, but Emerald Coast would have been one of those places that Karna would almost kind of consider a home in his heart for a while she was there. Like he'd go on his adventures, like he'd be there for like a few months, maybe upwards of like a year. But then, you know, he'd find a friend, he'd get drunk, they'd go on an adventure, but he'd always loop back around there. Like he'd go in like weird oblong loops, he'd always return there. So when he's out on an adventure and he hears shit's going down there, boom, straight there.
And I love Delamere. I'm excited if we ever.
Yeah, when you were
Open it.
watching like to make clips from it, you were like, I ship it.
Yes, I shipped it so hard. I was so excited. I was like, I have to make one of the Karna clips to promote episode 0. I have to make it about Delamere.
Yeah, my thing to like for my personal thing, I was like, I think the way to like quickly sell this romance is not to make them immediately be like, oh, I care about you so much.
Yes.
It's to make her kind of standoffish and someone that you have to break through the shell of.
And Karna is the exact person who will try to break through every shell because he wants everybody to like him.
Yeah, and I think that's inherently more. It's more endearing that their relationship is a journey rather than immediately
Yeah.
like, and you fell in love at first sight, and it was perfect.
Yeah, I was saying while we were watching it, I was like, you know what, Karna is probably used to how Maud is because both Maud and Delamere kind of have like a kind of like a not
anything,
a resting
Maud's
bitch
way
face
more
because that's a
outgoing.
weird way to say it, but what?
If anything, Maud's way more outgoing than Delamere.
Yeah.
He respects the personality type.
Rain was actually the most like Delamere. like I don't have emotions. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the way I read her, honestly.
Not necessarily, but like that sort of like standoff, like in like.
Yeah, well, I assume that's due to her even longer livid nature where she kind of pushes away attachment because nothing in her world lasts.
In my head, it was actually more just because humans, even though she's essentially human just with face stuff,
Yeah.
but have not always treated her well, and that's part of why she's.
I mean,
so
that's definitely a part of it. But even the friendly ones, it's like, you know, like they essentially live for her what would seem like, you know, I don't know, a couple months, maybe a week.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think she's only like around 100 when you first meet her or something
Okay.
like that. So like, she's not lived that long, but enough.
Yeah,
to,
and
like,
enough
get
to know
cynical.
that they do. Yeah, she's lived a full, overly generous lifespan, a full Jimmy Carter of life by the time I met her.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about personality-wise, Delamere seems like a little bit of a combination of Ren and Maud, where you put them together and it's a little, you know, like not a little standoffish, you know, a little like
Slow to trust.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. That I definitely agree with in that regard.
yeah. But she's awesome, and they're awesome together. And I, as an outside person, I'm like, shipping. We gotta ship it.
It's cloudy and sunny. It's a thing.
Oh, they're so cute.
Peanut butter, chocolate.
Now kiss.
Yeah, that's which I like how organically that came together too, and it's not something that needed to be dwelled on.
Yeah.
Same with all the sex scenes. Don't need to dwell on that either.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh,
said,
that's what you cut the full penetration, like the whole.
Karna and Delamere
20-minute.
absolutely would have hooked up a number of times. I mean, but it's a
For
It is
Karna,
a romantic-
It's not that big of a deal.
yeah, it's not that big of a deal for him. But like, you know, that genuine emotional connection is what that's about for him. Like, yeah. Do we have any questions or anything from his?
A few people. There was one person saying that your bard's backstory is actually quite similar to theirs.
Original character, do not steal. God.
But
I
not,
love Jesse's
not,
shirt.
yeah, not a lot of compliments for Jesse's shirt, but not any specific questions.
We can ask though. Do you guys have any specific questions you want to ask
AMA.
us?
I'm Karna. AMA.
Here's one. I wonder how many ships we will have. Anyone want to pitch a guess for how many ships we're going to have?
Oh, at least 3 fleets.
There's a few ships in this recent
Yeah.
recent arc.
Feels like I'm trying to parry ships left and right, like just sink them before they even float.
You guys will know what I'm talking about later.
Let's just say Maud finds a friend.
Many ships.
Yes.
I already answered this in chat, but just to say it in case other people have the same question. Do we remember when we made the session zeros? Was it all the way back in March? I feel like it was.
It was March, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like that early, and then like shit happened.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't film for a while until like May or June.
Well, we were able to film. We were definitely able to film in April and May because it was by May. The first week of May, I had the green hair. We only had one session where I had the green hair by then. Everything else was filmed with brown hair. So we definitely filmed between March and the start of May.
And maybe we even filmed in February for the because.
Oh, you know what? I think
was
you're
a while
right.
back.
I think it was February.
It was February for the session zeros because yeah, there was some space.
I mean,
between
we definitely mentioned
session
what
zeros and one, and
Yeah.
then there's some space between that.
we definitely mentioned what month it is when we were filming either session 1 or the session zeros. Like in session 1,
I know
think
we
were
talked about
saying
like there
it
was a gap in time, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like a whole month though.
It was a month later after session 1, so.
I also love that someone was like, of course, you know, Jesse got a kids meal, and I'm like, how'd they know I have a kids meal? I was like
You're
assembling
building
a
a
toy, and there's like cup here. I'm like, wow, they did good detective work to figure that out. But I'm like, no, it's right here. I
So-
made this truck in the time it took us to wheels move and shit.
Majil of Shadow says, we all know that Alex thirsts for Karna.
I don't know which way Alex swings, but it's Karna is interesting, if only because of his backstory with his father.
daddy issues. I get it.
Yep.
Got them all the time. I know the type.
Wait till you meet my mom.
Oh, I will.
You will wait? You're gonna wait for her?
I'm very easy. Like, look, waiting is not a problem for me.
No, just no nut until you're gonna save it all.
Oh, I never said that.
I'm gonna become your dad.
I didn't say I'd save it.
Don't worry, don't worry, Alex. I'll become your dad.
Oh, and you know what? There was a follow-up in chat on that same vein, so I'm just gonna leave that there.
Just wait for season 2.
We're gonna make him a brother.
So many ships. Filled with semen.
There's so many ships and they're all filled with semen. Semen.
Does the body good.
There's a question about asking if you're wearing eyeshadow, Nick.
No, I've just been crying a lot.
All right. Is that? I like the idea of cutting.
Well, let's give you something to really cry about.
Let's go to Maud's backstory.
Yeah, 1 second. I'll have to pull it up.
Let's
There
be
goes
sad.
that timing.